You're listening to Montgomery Creek Outdoors. Kick off your boots and kick up your heels. Today's adventure starts right now.
Hey everybody, and welcome to story number 3 of our Montgomery Creek Outdoors podcast series. I'm Casey Conley and joined today by my dad.
Hello.
And today we have Stephen Fuller with the Hunting Grounds. How are you, Stephen?
Oh, I'm doing well, doing as good as you can do for sure, and happy to be on here.
Thank you for joining us today. So we want to start off with just having you talk about how long you've been in operation with the Hunting Grounds.
Well, it's been a roller coaster, I'll tell you that. It's a big learning curve, but we've been going now. This is our 7th year, and just kind of started it for fun. You know, I'd graduated college and decided, you know, I was a teacher there for a little bit and wanted to do a little bit of filming and stuff. And so I kind of started filming some of my management techniques and started putting stuff out on YouTube. And that's how we started, is right then and there, just putting stuff on YouTube for fun. And, you know, it's developed into what it is today.
So 7 years in the making. It's not an overnight success by any stretch of imagination. You put a lot of work in it. Sometimes I think you got to be the busiest guy in the industry when I see everything you got going on. I mean, I kind of figure you're probably doing a live broadcast on this right now on Instagram or something. But you know what? Some milestones along the way. I mean, how many followers you got, views, stuff like that?
Well, you know, it's been, like you said, it's a learning curve. And I work all the time. There's not a time that I'm not working. I actually thought about doing a live video feed of this, but no, we're going to share it out there for you guys. But you know, it's come a long way since then. You know, like I said, I started on YouTube, and you know, I think about 3 to 4 years ago, I really got serious about growing it and really said, you know, at that point, you know, there's something here that people are enjoying, and I definitely enjoy it. And if I put a little bit more work into it and get some supporters, then, you know, I can take this off. So now we've grown to where on Facebook, we're fixing to hit about 100,000 followers on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
And it's, you know, Facebook's changed a lot over the years too. It's not so much about the followers anymore as far as much as the reach. You know, on Facebook alone last year, we reached somewhere close to, I think, close to 30 million people, you know, in a year on there. And then Instagram's grown where we're getting close to that 20,000 follower mark. And then YouTube, I got really serious about YouTube last hunting season. And I said, you know what, I want to grow YouTube because there's just not a lot of I guess hunting show personalities really that are out there doing kind of like a vlog series and really getting down to that personal relationship level with all their viewers and supporters and stuff on YouTube. So I decided to get really serious about that. And I think we were just maybe at 2,000 subscribers there, and we're fixing to hit getting close to 10,000 subscribers right now on YouTube. So just in the last season, it's really grown on there. And I've got big goals. That's one thing I always do is I set really extreme goals, and I want to have this next year on just like social media on Facebook probably alone, I want to hit close to that 100 million mark, you know, on reach. I think it's doable. We end up about tripling our size every single year. We're extremely blessed in that, and work our rear ends off for it. So that's where we're at.
That's awesome.
The hard work is paying off.
Everywhere we go,
So I got to ask a question. Do you remember there being, I guess, a turning point in all of this in the past 7 years? Was there a video or was there a post that just really took off? And, you know, you can think back and say that was the turning point for us.
Oh, man. You know, there was, I don't know if there's really a turning point. You know, consistency is huge when you're out there and you're trying to do something like this. And, you know, it's been a learning curve. You know, everything has been. You know, I'm self-taught in all my editing and all of my video production and all my social media marketing. And you just got to, each time you do something, my goal is every video I produce or anything is I try to make it better than the last one. That's awesome. So there was no real turning point. There was, like I said, about 3 or 4 years ago, I'd kind of, I was new to this whole thing. When I first started, I had a couple of guys kind of helping me out, and I knew absolutely nothing. So I was like, yeah, you come on my show, you're a pro staff. I don't know what pro staff means, or you're a pro staff. And, and we've transitioned with different people in and out. And finally it got to a point where I could see the people on Facebook, especially, it probably really happened on Facebook for me. It started taking off, and I started seeing a lot of interaction and people really tuning into what we're doing. I was like, people are really wanting more. It got to the point where people were requesting more. And I said, you know what, if they're wanting more, then why shouldn't I work harder than just to get them more material, more video and stuff out there? So about 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I got real serious about it. And, if there was a big moment, there was a big moment about 2 years ago on Facebook. I got one of my first viral videos. I think I got close to 1 million or over 1 million views on it. Cool. Within like a few weeks. It was just me talking about hunters, supporting hunters, no matter what size of trophies, or what a trophy is to them. It's all in the eye of the beholder kind of deal, and that we've got to support each other. And it just went viral out there. And at that point, I said, you know what, we've got to just go as all in as we can on this. And so we've been doing that, and we've been blessed by it for sure.
Awesome. Hey, that's cool. Hey, let's switch gears and kind of talk on a personal level. You alluded to it earlier, but where did you go to college, and what did you major in?
All right. Well, I went to college at College Ozarks, and it's just right outside Branson, Missouri there. It's in Hollister, Missouri, or right outside of there. It's Point Lookout, actually. They have their own little area. But College Ozarks in Missouri, I went there, and I did a double major and a minor. I majored in conservation wildlife management, along with field biology, and another major in communication arts. Cool. And just, when I graduated high school, that's all I knew. I was like, I wanted to hunt. That's what I like to do. And I didn't know really what I wanted to do as far as going into college. And we had a recruiter there, and the recruiter came in and just asked me questions. What do you like to do? I said, I like to hunt. She said, well, we got a conservation major that just started a year ago. And I said, sign me up. That's what I want to do. I didn't look at any other colleges, and I was blessed enough to get in there, and went to college there for, I believe it's 5 years to get those two majors and a minor. And since then, I've done odd and end jobs. I was a teacher. I was a high school biology teacher and ecology teacher for a couple of years. And then I took a leap of faith in between there, and felt that, I was supposed to get in the outdoor industry, kind of went on some crazy travels there, and just didn't pan out, and ended up working for Cabela's for a little bit. And then, now where I'm at now is I'm working with Giotto Gear, and they're a sponsor and supporter of the show. And then I'm doing pretty much.
What's your position with Giotto Gear?
So now, it's really cool with Giotto Gear is everything that I've got now as far as my main job is everything. It's come from me working with the Huntin Grounds. So the Huntin Grounds has taught me how to do social media marketing and video production. I've gotten what I think is pretty good at that. And it opened up the door for me to come in and help Giotto Gear run that's what I do here is I do all their social media marketing and video production for them. And it's just a win-win. They're great people, and they support what we do. And they sell, handgun holsters and like home defense stuff for shooting, and falls right in line. I mean, we're shooters and we're hunters, and we like to protect ourselves with our weapons, and everything falls in line there. So
that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what about, I guess, family? I know you have a family. Talk to us about them and some of your friends and how they tie into the hunting grounds.
Everybody ties into the hunting grounds. I'll tell you, I say that I live like a hunting lifestyle, and I really do. I mean, it's funny, if friends come over, I'm not the kind of guy that whips out the, game controller and we want to play games. Like, I'm usually like, hey, you want to go help me plant some trees or do a burn or check trail cameras or whatever. That's what, if friends come over, they know that they're going to probably be getting themselves into some kind of work on my property, because that's what I do. I love enjoying time with friends and family, honestly, in the outdoors. And it doesn't matter what we're doing, but I have a really close family. My parents are great supporters of the show, and so is my sister. And they love, they've seen me through the thick and thin of this show. When I started off, people told me it wouldn't ever be anything and could never grow into anything. And I didn't care if one person watched it and enjoyed it. I was going to keep doing it. And, they've supported me all the way through no matter what. So it's been awesome there.
Well, what about early years and hunting with your family? I mean, did your dad hunt and you guys go out together and stuff like that, or?
Oh yeah, so Dad actually got me into hunting, and now I drag him around more than he drags me around. So, he got me into hunting for sure. I remember my earliest memories were, being, with my papa, who I didn't get to spend much time with because he passed away, early in my life. But he was who introduced my dad into hunting, and I remember just being with my dad, being on his shoulders, walking through the woods, and my papa, pointing out stuff that you're looking for in the woods. And so Dad got me into hunting, and I kind of ran with it. Dad was an old school kind of hunter that you drive around on the farm. If you see a deer, you shoot a deer kind of deal. And so I got big time into it, where I was learning all the grunt calls and all the scents and the techniques and the food plots. And so I've been dragging Dad around for years now, and that's kind of our bonding thing is he enjoys to hunt and he wants to hunt with me, and that's the time that we can really spend together.
So thinking back on deer or turkey, either one, how old, or I guess better yet, how young were you when you shot your first deer or your turkey?
I was, well, we don't have very many turkeys around Northwest Arkansas. We just hardly don't even have a turkey season. But I was probably 10 or 11 when I shot my first deer, and Jeff Foxworthy back in the day. I don't know if you remember those old, You Might Be a Redneck t-shirt.
Yeah.
Now that wasn't very long ago. You talk like that was forever ago. That was.
Well, I was number one on one of his t-shirts pretty much because it said, "You might be a redneck if you ever shot a deer out your bedroom window." And, that's how I shot
you was the guy,
deer.
huh?
Yeah, I shot my first deer before school. I was 10 or 11 years old, and I was in my bedroom window, and the deer walked through our backyard, and I shot it and kind of left Dad with it, and I went to school. So
that reminds me of the old joke. The guy says, "I shot an elephant in my pajamas," and the guy said, "Well, how did the elephant ever get in your pajamas?" Hey, tell us a little bit. Now, I know, from following your show and stuff that, you got a relatively new property that you're owner of, about a year or so, I guess. Mm-hmm. And you're working on a house there. Have you moved in to your house now?
I've pretty much moved in. Like, I'm up there probably half the time right now. The last thing that I've got to do is honestly, and she's a part of the show too. It seems like everybody ends up being part of the show, but my dog Journey, she's part of the show, and we got viewers all the time. I'll go somewhere and like, "Where's Journey? Why didn't you bring her?" I'm like, "Well, it's just not the easiest thing to bring a dog when you travel." But no, that's the last thing I've got to do is build a dog fence for her. Then I can be up there all the time, because right now, if I go into work and stuff, I don't want to leave her in the house, so got to drop her off at the parents or something. But yeah, I've been remodeling a house on my place. It was built in 1970, and it was an earth home originally. It's gone through a whole bunch of stages. And when I got the place, I bought it primarily for the land, because, as hunters, I don't want just to buy a house. I want to have hunting land that I can.
Right.
Now, how many acres? How many acres did you buy there?
It's 91 acres, and
okay.
It's Ozark Hill. Yeah, it's Ozark Hill country, and it's like got bluffs and steep hills and springs and everything, so it hunts more like 300 acres because there's so many steep hills. But so I've been remodeling that house and have enjoyed that, and getting just about done there. But that's one thing that I've really enjoyed bringing to the show is finally now I've taught, the big part of our show is showing like cost-effective techniques for managing a property for smaller properties. And now I've really got my own property where the sky's the limit. I don't have to go ask a landowner to plant a food plot or do a burn, or if I can clear some trees out or anything there. It's like anything I want to do or try, I can try it there. And the coolest thing about it is I'm bringing everybody on this journey with me. So all my successes and failures on this property, they're getting to see, and everybody's been tuning in. And I've had it for about over a year and a half now. And the transitions that we've seen on the property is huge. When I bought that place, I put my spy point cameras up all over that place and literally had a couple does and some forkhorns and spikes. And I'll tell you, I was discouraged because I was like, I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, and I don't have any big monsters roaming around. Well, with a little bit of management now, I can't build my food plots big enough. I have so many deer coming in, and the bucks are growing, and I didn't have any
Oh, that's
turkeys when I
great.
started there. And now I've got flocks of turkeys. I'm hoping to, finish a story this season where hopefully I'm tagging my first ever turkey on my hunting grounds this year.
Ah, cool. I hope you do. So, hey,
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
you alluded to it, and then you said it again. But
Yeah.
your dog Journey.
Yeah.
What's the story behind her name?
That actually came from a viewer of the show, because I wanted something unique. I'm one of those kind of guys. I don't like to do everything that everybody else does, and I put it on social media. I was like, I've got a dog coming, and what do you think her name should be? And people threw names out there everywhere, and someone said Journey, and that was just and that was the one thing that I said. Said, well, as soon as I get a property and a house of my own, and I can live out in the country, I'm going to get a dog. And so as soon as I got the signed deal on the house, I went out looking for a dog. I knew the dog that I wanted, and someone said Journey. I said, you know what, that fits perfectly. It's unique, and I'm fixing to go on a huge journey on my own, get my own place.
Yeah.
And so I think it all fits perfectly. So, yeah, it came from a viewer of the show.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So switching gears a little bit here, I know you're a huge Christian witness, and I love that. So talk a little bit about the importance of spreading God's word and how you incorporate that into the show.
Well, that's the foundation of our show, and that's when I started. Even when I started on YouTube, I said when I first put my first video out, I said if one person gets something from this, and that's all that matters. And as I've traveled and I've talked to a lot of different groups, and as well as anybody, that when you're witnessing to somebody, it can be really challenging, and especially even hunters. There's somebody that you don't want to offend them, for one, because usually they've got a gun. So, but
Right.
no, you just, it's hard to approach somebody on your faith. And the purpose of like the show is what I wanted to do is I didn't want to push my faith on anybody. I didn't want it to be overly on the, over the top kind of deal where they were just turned off by it. But at the same time, I wanted to basically say, hey, you know what? This is why I do everything that I do. This is why I use all my management techniques on God's creation, and this is why I hunt, is to manage the deer and the wildlife that God has given me, because He says to subdue the earth and to rule over and have dominion over the birds of the air and the fish of the sea, and to pass that on to future generations. And that opens up, like, we have common ground there, where I can hopefully talk to somebody and be like, this is why I do, and this is why I live my life the way I do, and hopefully they see the excitement and the happiness that I think that I show and my team shows on the show, and they want a little piece of that. And, I honestly, I give God all the glory that for every bit of success that we've had with the show, because He's been our foundation. I honestly, truly believe that if we just weren't, had Him as our foundation, we would not be where we are at today, for sure.
Amen.
I think what you're doing is very effective.
It's a great platform for that.
Now, Stephen, you talked about your property there that you're hunting now. Have you got other local properties that you hunt, or are they leases or just places you have permission, or how's all that work locally?
Yeah, that's a good question. I get a lot of questions on it. I get people ask me all the time, like, "Hey, can I come hunting with you?" I'm like, you know what? I don't have a huge lease. Like, I don't own thousands of acres. I'm an average Joe. Like, if I see some deer in a field in the area, I've got little tips and tricks of how I know to get that landowner, and I go knock on that door and I get permission. So I do have small properties around the area that I've gotten just by knocking on a door, or maybe I'll tell them, hey, I'll help you keep your fences up and check on your cattle and do all that to get permission on your property. But as far as traveling, when I travel, the properties I hunt there, it's a lot of the viewers and supporters of the show. They say, hey, I've got a few acres here and there if you want to come up and do a hunt. And that's what I'm all about. Like, I don't have to go to the big lodges and spend thousands of dollars and get a guided hunt. Like, I enjoy spending time with the supporters of the show, and I think it adds a cool storyline. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's real.
I've
It's
really,
real.
yeah, well, it's very real, and I've really focused this year since I've purchased my property. As far as around my area, I haven't been hunting a lot of the other places. It's hard because I really wanted to put time in on my place, figure out how the deer are transitioning, and spend quality time there trying to figure the deer out and get some trophies off of there. So.
Now, when it comes to hunting trips, I know I'm a big fan of those. I'm getting ready to go back to Texas here in a couple weeks. Do you guys go anywhere, I guess, out of state on hunting trips, or talk to us a little bit about that?
Yep. So, like I said, those usually come from, viewers and supporters of the show just invite us out. So I actually went, even this last weekend, went to Nebraska with some viewers up there that had been invited us up there. I hunted turkeys up there with them last year, had a blast, killed a bunch, and going back up there this year. So I hunt for turkeys. I hunt Nebraska and Kansas and Missouri and Arkansas. As far as deer hunting, I've only traveled out of state. Has been to Kansas. Now I live in Missouri. I was originally from Arkansas, so used to travel out of state from Arkansas and Missouri to hunt a lot, but now I live there. So,
So,
but
so
yeah, as far as deer, that's the only 3 states. I really want to expand that a bunch. I didn't know you went down to Texas this year. You made me really jealous with that. I hope to get down to Texas and do like one of those late season rut hunts one of these days.
It's
And maybe
fun.
travel
It's fun.
more Midwest or something. But yeah, I
so
don't travel too much as far as deer hunting, but I want to travel a whole lot more for sure.
so where you've currently been, I guess, as far as geographically, what's your radius? A couple hours
It's
away or
I traveled up to 6 hours this
6 hours?
weekend. As far as deer hunting, usually I stay within about a 5 hour mile. Like as far as 5 hours away, I don't get much further than that as far as deer hunting. But turkey hunting, for some reason, I travel a little bit further, but for a smaller bird.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot here. And
Okay.
how old are you, Stephen?
I am 31 right now.
31. So in your
Yeah.
31 years,
Yeah.
what has been your most memorable or your favorite hunting adventure?
Wow.
Loaded question.
Every time you get that asked and you're a hunter, that's hard because I can remember every single hunt and everything. Single hunt's pretty unique. I would say probably one of my most memorable hunts ever was from this year, just because it was a lifelong dream of mine. To own my own property, manage my own property, and harvest my own deer on my property. And since I've owned it a year and a half, the first year I never took a buck off of it. I didn't see a good enough buck to take off of it. And this year, I ended up going down to some public ground in Arkansas. I was hunting down there with the family like we always do, and got really sick and had to come back home in Missouri. And I said, well, at least I've got a redneck blind that I can sit in because it was nasty. It was cold and raining. And I was like, at least I've got that to sit in, and I'm not going to just sit in the house if I'm sick. I can sit in there and be out of the elements. So I'd gotten out there and I'd been patterning a pretty good 9 point. And wouldn't you know it, he came out that morning and allowed me to get him all self-filming and dropped him in his tracks. And it's probably the most memorable hunt just because, that's something that I've always dreamed of, is owning my own property and harvesting my own bucks on my own property and growing them and kind of getting that story with them. And that was really, really cool this year to finally accomplish that. So
I know I watched that episode and it looked like it felt pretty good for it all to come together, didn't it?
oh, it did. It made you feel good when you were sick that day. So I got better real fast.
Yeah, I bet. So let's talk about shed season. I know we're kind of winding down, but how
Yeah.
many sheds did you find this season? Any interesting ones or any of your hit list buck sheds?
No, that's always been a tough thing for me to do around here is find sheds. We're in wooded country and it is really steep and fields are few and far between. And last year we did find two on my place, which was really exciting because you just don't find many in our neck of the woods down here. And this year we've only found one so far on the hunting grounds, which is kind of weird. But I've had the loggers come in, and about the time the deer were actually dropping their antlers, they were coming in and doing some select cuts for me, and I think it kind of pushed them out and pushed them out of some of their bedding areas, and I think they've dropped on other properties and just really haven't found too many. And I've had a lot of my bucks actually this year really holding a lot later than normal, and I think it's because of all my property habitat basically improvement because last year I didn't have enough food plots, and this year I definitely had enough food plots. I had enough food sources that they were well taken care of. They weren't very pressured as far as hunting on my property. And so the deer weren't really stressed, and I think that allowed them to hold their antlers a whole lot
Yeah, and
longer.
that's kind of what we've experienced around here. We had a real mild winter here in central
Oh yeah.
Indiana.
Hmm.
I got out gobs of Eagle Seed soybeans, and they just didn't eat them all up. Now, a cold winter, they'll be gone sometimes before they drop their sheds. So I
Oh yeah.
same way. I think sheds were kind of scattered, and some of them still hanging on, according to trail cam
Oh yeah.
pictures and stuff. So
Yep.
kind of been an unusual year for sheds.
Right, but
For
you talk
sure.
about the importance of the food plots. You own the food, you own the deer. So
That's no doubt.
that's it. That's exciting. So let's talk a little bit about turkey season because I know that's coming up next for us. You said you were
Oh yeah.
just hunting last weekend in Nebraska. Now, will you go
Yep.
back there, or where else are you going
Yeah.
to turkey hunt? I guess
I'm
what's the
I'm going.
plan?
I'm going back this weekend actually. What I'm doing up there right now is not very easy. I like challenges, and so we're actually behind like the Mojo Scoot and Shoot, and I want to shoot a
Cool.
turkey in the wide open with a bow, with behind the Mojo Scoot and Shoot. And right now they were henned up this weekend, and couldn't ask for worse weather for opening
Right.
weekend. Honestly, we
Poured.
had wind chills were in the 30s the entire weekend. It rained almost all day long, and in Nebraska they don't have rocks, and so when it rains, the bottom just falls out of the mud, and everything is covered with mud. There's not a piece of camera equipment or bow equipment or decoy or clothing that doesn't have mud all over it. So really rough weekend, but we had fun chasing them. But yeah, I've got plans. Like I said, I'm gonna hopefully be able to get my first ever Arkansas turkey this year. We'll be hunting Kansas for sure. Kansas is always a awesome state for us to lay down a bunch of turkeys, and then be hunting Missouri as well. And like I said, I've got everything set up on my hunting grounds on my property here in Missouri, ready to go. I've got turkeys coming in, got a big old long beard that's been coming in almost every day, morning and evening, and we
Got him
actually just set
patterned.
up. Oh yeah, yep. We just got the redneck hay bale blind set up, so I'm really excited to try that out. And I think we've got everything lined up for me to take my first ever turkey on my own property, so I'm super pumped about it.
Man, I hope you do. I hope you do. So let's talk about your pro staff members. How many members do you have, and what are their ages? And I guess where are they
Okay.
from too?
All right. Well, that's been a really fun thing to work with over the years as you grow a show. You don't know really. I'm all self-taught on all this, so I didn't have anybody come in and say, "Hey, this is how you need to run your show and run your staffers, and if you need staffers or if you don't." And we get a lot of applications. People that just want to be a part of it, which is really encouraging. But sometimes it can be something kind of hard to handle because you're handling a team out there,
Yeah,
and
managing
you
people.
oh yeah, it can be really tough. And then it also can make it harder sometimes for sponsors too, because if you have 100 guys on your team, and you're asking for support for your sponsor, that's a lot of people for them to support. So right now we've got I think 13 guys, not including myself, so I think there's about 14 team members total. And I think I've got 5 as pro staff. We're old school. Yeah, I like people coming in as field staff and them really having to earn their position into pro staff, because our sponsors are great and they really take care of them. And I want to make sure that they're dedicated and that they're going to kind of earn their keep on the show. So, and we've got everybody from Arkansas, Missouri, I think all the way down to Georgia. We got
Hmm.
people from Pennsylvania, Minnesota, and Kansas.
You spread
So,
out spread out pretty good area there.
oh yeah. Yeah, which is cool because that allows us to bring hunts from kind of all over the place, and people enjoy seeing a Pennsylvania hunt that are out here in Arkansas, and vice versa for you know people down in Georgia like to see what's going on up in Minnesota. So I've got a great group of staffers there. Their ages range. I think some of our older ones are in the upper 30s, and we have some that are still in high school.
Cool.
I don't put any limits on kind of age. I just say, hey, if you meet our requirements, you kind of live the lifestyle that we do, and you have the ability to help our show grow, and you film your hunts, and you got the stuff that we require, then hey, it's a no-brainer. We'll put you on the show and see what you were made of, kind of
Well,
deal.
I
So,
like to see when those young guys get involved in this kind of
oh, I
stuff.
did too.
The sky's the limit on their creativity and what they're going to contribute in years to come.
Oh yeah, and it's nice for them because they've grown up in this era. They're used to working these cameras and editing software. I mean, they're almost taking those classes in high school now. Where, when I first started videotaping, I had the old VHS, big old camera on the side of my shoulder, and when I started editing, there wasn't even HD editing software out there. I'd had to transition into HD video footage and deal with all that. So they're coming in at the right time where they're going to probably know more than me here pretty soon.
Well,
That's
I might be
helpful.
in trouble.
that's a good thing. Now, one question I do. I mean, you get everything up real timely. I mean, and it's boom, boom, boom. Like I say, you got to be the busiest guy in the industry. But as far as you got guys spread out Georgia, Pennsylvania, where all over. Do you do all the editing, or do they edit that, send that to? How's that process take place? How do you get the footage and get it up and going so fast?
I do about 99% of all the editing and all the video work. It's just, yeah, I don't know how I get it all that fast. I don't stop. So I'll spend, when I'm on the road traveling, I'll edit. When I'm at home, I'll edit, and I'll edit on breaks or whenever I can edit, I'm editing. And the great thing about having that, I have one of the best teams out there in the whole industry, and I think most of my sponsors, all my sponsors will say that as well. I've got the best team that are going to support me and send in footage and really support the companies that support us at the same time. And I've said it a long time ago when we first started. I said we're going to be a semi-live hunting show, and there's no more waiting a full year for a deer hunt to come out that would happen last season. What I really want to do is I want to provide a hunt and management techniques that people can watch and they can go do it that exact same week because everything's timed perfectly for them. I mean, the weather's the same for them or whatever it may be, they can implement that. So that's what.
So are they hard mailing that stuff to you, or they drop that in
Yeah.
some kind of a Google document,
Yeah.
or it's
So sometimes it just depends, as with this HD video, man, it gets really,
large
the
files?
get
Yeah.
really large. So what I tell them to do is they will, if they film a successful hunt within a week, they put it on an SD card and they just mail that in. If it's a shorter hunt that they can Dropbox it, they'll Dropbox it. For some of our sponsored stuff out there, if they're just doing a short little video for, it might be like Spy Point or Mojo or Walk on Archery Targets or something like that. They're doing a short little how-to video. Some of my guys, some of my younger guys especially, not many of my older guys, but my younger guys, they have the ability to edit up a short little video and they'll edit it up and send it to me and I'll post it. It's easy as
At
that.
some point in time, Stephen, we're going to have to define what age is considered older.
You said older guys, and I remember you saying your oldest was like 30s or something. And I'm looking over at Dad. I'm like, hey, you're super old.
No wonder I have such difficulty on my editing and stuff. I'm over the hill. Oh my.
So, talk to us about, I guess, your views on social media. Where it is now and where you think it's going. Because I know it's totally changed the landscape for both hunters and then the hunting industry. So, talk to us a little more about, I guess, your views on social media.
Well, I can just tell you social media is the way it's going 100% out there.
Right.
You talk to a lot of the companies out there and they're really taking a lot of their funds and they're taking them from people on television and putting more into social media because it's so highly interactive. You look at our show and everything is so calculated. I mean, you can look at every single number that is out there and you know for a fact how many exact views you got and how many people actually saw your stuff. Whereas on TV, you're hoping that they watch your commercials and they're hoping that they either go on their phones and buy it there or go into the store. Whereas, online, if they're questioning anything about the product, they actually comment right down below in our video. Does that product really work? Have you had problems with it? Or what do you love about it? And we can interact right away with it.
Right.
There's TV shows out there that, they throw a lot of numbers out of what they're getting. And I can tell you 100% for sure, that we got probably, I think we're around if not more, is at least 4 to 5 million views last year on our videos.
Oh my
And
gosh.
you can, you can't get that exact number when you're going on TV all the time, depending on what channel you're going to. But social media is the way it is. It's easy to push products. You're so highly interactive. There's no um, limit on how many episodes you can have or videos you can post, and it's semi-live. I mean, people absolutely love it. So that's the way it's going, and that's the way we're going to continue to be. And my goal is to be, you know, the number one show out there on social media platform, period. And that's just a goal that we've set, and we're going to hopefully reach it. We're doing really good right now. I don't know where we really stand, but if I just keep pushing for that goal, then
That's
I think we're going to
right.
be good there.
Hey,
So,
that's right. And, we're big supporters of you guys. And, I just love the way that social media has changed the landscape.
oh yeah,
It's helped us develop so many friendships. And then, like you
yes,
said, gain knowledge on products or land
yep,
management or,
yep,
we met you guys through social media and then we see you in person and we feel like we know you. And there's
oh yeah,
countless people like that. So
yeah.
it's just so instantaneous and it's real. And I really enjoy social media. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off that and say, there's some negative sides to it as well, and that's
Oh, of
why I did my
course.
video a while back. People think that they have, their own opinion. They can just put it out there very strongly on social media,
Keyboard
especially dealing.
cowboys is what I call
Oh
those guys.
yeah,
Oh my
especially
gosh.
dealing with hunters and trophies. To tell somebody that they should have waited, another year, should have passed that buck, or shouldn't have shot that doe, or anything like that. That's the negative side of it. But that's why I always say hunters have to support hunters as long as they're hunting 100% legal.
Yep.
And we can't tell somebody what's not a trophy to them or that they should have passed. We should be excited for them, because that's one thing I would definitely say social media has changed, is kind of how people view trophies. I grew up in the day where we used to have a check-in station at Walmart, and the coolest thing was going there and dropping the tailgate and socializing with everybody and putting my picture in the picture book with all the other bucks. And it didn't matter what you shot, people are excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now people really question about even putting a fork horn or a little 6-point or a spike or whatever it may be on social media, because of the backlash they may get, because somebody might come in and say, why would you shoot that? Why didn't you let it pass? And I hate that people have to do that. I want them to be proud to post whatever is a trophy to them on social media. So that's the one negative side to it.
Amen.
But I'd say overall, it's a really, really good thing.
Right.
Well, Stephen, we could probably talk all day, but we're gonna we're kind of about to hit our timeline here. Before we leave, I mean, why don't you give us a few shout outs with your business partners,
Okay.
friends or family, social media, websites,
Handles, yeah.
whatever you got. Give us
Oh,
a
yeah.
lowdown real quick here.
Well, I'll give you everything there. Like I said, you can't do this kind of thing without supporters. We've got great supporters. I'll just throw some out there. We've got Mojo that you can really look forward to this turkey season. We got new partners such as like Winsent and Fourth Arrow. Redneck came back on board. Of course, we got Jotto Gear. You guys work with Eagle Seed. We love our Eagle Seed.
Yep.
Dirt Nap. You guys use the Dirt Naps as well, and that's what I'm really hunting real hard for right now with the turkey. With their new shred head, going after that, and nose jammer and walk on archery. But without those partners, we just can't do what we do. But encourage everybody to go look at our stuff. We're producing stuff, like you said, every single week. And as we get into the hunting season of turkey, we're not only going to be producing weekly hunting episodes, but we'll probably do vlogs. So people really have to go to YouTube, type in Hunting Grounds, hit subscribe, follow us on Facebook. We're on Instagram, THGTV. They can go to our website, which is just thg-tv.com, and they can subscribe to our weekly emails. We send weekly emails every time we release a new video. I encourage people to follow us and interact, because I respond to almost every single person that contacts us. So
That's awesome. And we so appreciate you joining us today, and we just appreciate who you are as a person and as a hunter. You're a do-it-yourselfer, and you're a Christian, and we really respect you, Stephen. Thank you for taking the time to join us today, and we want to have everybody listen. Go check these guys out, the Hunting Grounds. They're awesome, great group of guys, and we're proud to know them. So.
Well, I appreciate you guys too, and I've really enjoyed the relationship that we had. Like you said, we met through social media, and look forward to seeing you guys every time that we bump into you guys at shows and stuff too. So definitely appreciate you guys.
Well, very good. Listen, before we leave, we want to thank our sponsors, which is Dirt Nap Gear, Eagle Seed, Trophy Rock, and Hunter Safety System. Join us again next time. You've been listening to Montgomery Creek Outdoors.